Good morning, dear friends. Namaskar and Shalom. A very warm and good morning to everyone. Today is our Awareness Unbound Meditation Retreat. And I'd like to cordially welcome you to join me in a short meditation, a short inquiry into who we are, our true aware being, in a way that allows us to touch our nature directly and immediately. So once a month at Awarezen, we host a meditation retreat. And today is one of those days. So let's begin by just allowing yourself to sit wherever you are in a posture of awareness, of being upright yet free of tension. And you might find keeping the eyes closed to be helpful. So let's close our eyes, as it helps us to filter out the environmental distraction around us. And this can be helpful for those who are just starting on this journey of inquiry, to allow the mind to settle within rather than being distracted and caught up by the various objects around us. And without trying to do anything special, without any agenda of achieving anything special, just simply look at who you are, your nature, your self-nature. Just directly, if you can, recognize that yourself, your true nature, is without any lack, without any wave of disturbance or dissatisfaction. It is not limited by perturbations and limitations of thought. It is not entangled in any emotional reactivity. Your self-nature, your true nature, which is no nature, is without lack. If you can touch this directly, simply recognize it and keep recognizing it. But if not, let's look at what's going on right now in your mind, in your heart, in your body. Are there different sensations and feelings in the body? Are there thoughts in your mind? Is there an inner voice or inner chatter that seems to keep going on and on without end? Is there any particular emotion that you're feeling right now? Whatever is there, simply recognize it. Simply be awake and aware to it. And then be aware of your awareness of it. Knowing the thinking, knowing the feeling, knowing the emotion, knowing the sensation. That's fantastic. But now, know that knowing, being consciously conscious, knowingly knowing, awaringly aware, aware of being aware. To deepen this recognition, you can pose a question. Who or what is aware? Posing this question serves as a kind of inquiry prompt. Or if you like, it is like dipping an exploratory probe into the very depths of the ocean. So we send this probe in the form of an inquiry, in the form of a question. Who or what is aware? And allowing that to sink in so that you enter and dive more deeply into the very nature of your own experience. And without preempting any answer, without preconceiving a response, allow the question to do its probing work. Keep that question alive in your heart. An active inquiry, an active investigation. And it might even arouse a sense of curiosity, perhaps even perplexity. For it's a strange question after all. Who, what, so where? Keep that perplexity alive and allow it to draw you deeper and deeper. Allow the attention to effortlessly and naturally divest itself of its object. So rather than being caught in an object of the thought, an object of emotion, an object of sensation, attention gradually divests itself, frees itself from its preoccupations, and comes to rest within its very nature of pure awareness. Awareness is attention without an object. Attention is awareness that is fixed on an object and in turn becomes conditioned or modulated by that. So by releasing objects of the mind, allow awareness to return to its own form, its own nature, its own form that is formless, its own nature that is no nature. Utterly open, free, transparent, clear, empty, aware. Allow this to happen not by effort, not by pushing, not by holding on, not by contriving, not by forcing, but by releasing, by returning, by resting. Every time you find that this recognition becomes unclear, you may bring forth the question again, who, what, so where. But if your recognition is clear, then you do not need to question or inquire. You can let that go. So let's inquire, investigate, and practice in this way for the next little while in silence and co-presencing. Thank you. again and again, directly recognizing that aware, knowing, clear presence that is in every moment of experience, that is never for a moment separated from everything that you experience, whether in the body, in the heart, in the mind, or in the world. Let's take our thoughts as an example. We often say, "Oh, I have many thoughts. I'm having a barrage of thoughts in the mind." But when you look closely at what you call thoughts, what you find is but a process of thinking. It's a sequence of events rather than a solidified object or thing. A thought is but a label that we apply to the event of thinking. And thinking happens moment by moment by moment. An image arises, which leads to another image, and yet another and another, in a sequence of images without any conscious control. And upon this sequence of events, we apply the label thoughts. But look for these thoughts, investigate their existence, and you can't really find them. There's nothing solid or permanent. All there is but a process, a flow, an impermanent, ever-changing flow of arising and passing away of events. This process of thinking is what we find when we begin to peel away the reality or the so-called reality of thoughts. Look further into thinking, and all that you can find of thinking is the knowing that is in every moment, in every event. Even what we call events do not exist as some permanent, unchanging thing. Event is a label on a completely selfless movement, process, flow of impermanence. The ancient Indian language, Pali, calls it anicca, impermanence. But deep within this flow of impermanence is the knowing of it. All that you can say of this flow, of this flowing, is the knowing. Without knowing, there is no cognition of flow and no flow to speak of. So all that you can say about the thinking is the flowing, and all that you can find in that flowing is the knowing. Probe deeper into this knowing. What can you say about knowing? What can you know about knowing? All that you can know about knowing is knowing itself. Knowing has no object. Knowing has no subject. Knowing has no here. Knowing has no there. Knowing is not a thing. Knowing simply is. Knowing of an object arises and passes away. We can have moment by moment knowing of something. But the knowing itself, the knowing of knowing, the knowingness within knowing, that has no name, that has no form, that has no time, that has no coming, that has no going. It is unborn, it is undying, it is unstained, it is unpolluted. It cannot be reduced, it cannot be polluted, it cannot be tainted, it cannot be added to, and it cannot be subtracted from. Whatever you attempt to do to this knowing, knowing remains. It is the very heart of who we are, the very heart of our aliveness, of our consciousness, our being, that can never be solidified or concretized to anything whatsoever, and yet is not non-existing. Spiritual traditions give it a name, spirit. Our spirit is our innermost essence of who we are, without name, without form, without limitation, without coming, without going. That can never be made into some concrete limited self, nor can it be made into some inherent infinite self. Dive deep into this knowing, this spirit. And see if you can go beyond it in any way. Is there anything beyond the knowing? Or is knowing all there is? Without any preconception, without any pre-assumption, simply inquire again and again, perhaps with perplexity, with wonderment, with curiosity. I submit to you that indeed there is a beyond, but we cannot know of this beyond through our inquiry. Our inquiry ends in that pure knowingness, seemingly without limit. Beyond itself, there is no more inquiry. What is beyond spirit, consciousness, awareness, can only be revealed to us from beyond. At an opportune moment, in the providence of the Absolute, whom we call our Creator or God, in His providence, in His timing, that revelation might break through into our spirit and cause us to recognize the hidden flaw of awareness itself. And that flaw is our primordial rupture, our great divorce from the source of who we are, from our God. God is not infinite awareness. God is not this infinite universe or seemingly infinite universe. God is beyond all that is created, including the universe and consciousness itself. And we can only know God when God makes Himself known to us. Otherwise, we are only grappling with beliefs, with thoughts, with assumptions. But in this path of no path, in this movement of grace, we surrender all that we are to the self-revelation of God. And in this posture of complete openness and receptivity, at an opportune moment, the revelation might break into us. And then everything changes. We shall explore this grace, this revelation of God more fully in other retreats, in other talks. For now, let your heart be at rest in all that has been recognized in your experience right now. And as you prepare to conclude this session of inquiry and meditation, affirm in your heart, and you shall bring forth this fresh, present wakefulness, knowingness into every moment of your everyday life, into your activities and your relationships. But do so gently, do so lovingly, without force, without judging yourself. Because this is quite new to us, a lot of us. And bringing forth that wakeful awareness in the midst of everyday life can be sometimes quite challenging. Why? Due to our habituation to distraction and our habituation to this limited conditioned mind. So go easy. Resolve and yet Be patient. Integrating the whole of your life into your meditative inquiry. So let this be our compass for this retreat, a recognition of our true nature, of our aware being, of our spirit, an acknowledgement of what lies beyond our spirit, God Himself, and an openness to the inbreaking of grace into our very spirit and awareness. And finally, an affirmative imbuing of life with pure being and awareness. So that meditation is not what we do, but who we are in every present moment. So, dear friends, thank you for being present with me, for listening to this meditation instructions. May these teachings bring you great benefit, illumination, and hopefully true freedom in the reception of true grace in your life. So thank you. As you continue sitting there, your eyes open, breathing gently, naturally, let the flow of awareness continue. Recognizing your aware being consciously, yet quietly, joyfully, and gently. And each moment of that recognition is a moment of joy, a moment of relaxation, of restfulness. Because awareness itself has all of these characteristics. It is by nature free and open, blissful, light, transparent. And yet all these words could not exhaust what it is and how it is. So dear friends, let's continue exploring and let's continue practicing together as a community of inquirers and meditators, loving one another and loving God beyond this limited finite self. Namaskar. Om Shanti. Shalom. 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 Thank you all. We come to the end of our first session. Till next time, be well, be blessed.